as it swirls across the Caribbean. Mark Mayfield with an update.
Rafael is now the 11th hurricane of the 2024 season. The storm is expected to keep growing before it makes landfall in Cuba on Wednesday. The National Hurricane Center says the lower and middle Florida Keys could experience tropical storm conditions beginning late Wednesday or Wednesday night.
A Michigan man has been arrested by U.S. Capitol Police after he was caught entering the Capitol Visitor Center yesterday afternoon with a flare gun and a torch lighter. Chief Thomas Menger says the officers screened the man and smelled gasoline.
U.S. Capitol Police officers staffing that screening area saw what appeared to be something in the shape of a firearm. They also saw 2 bottles in the backpack.
The 28-year-old was arrested, and the CVC closed the rest of the day for tours. Congress was not in session, and the man's name and where in Michigan he's from have not been released. Shohei Ohtani is recovering from an off-season shoulder injury. Tammy Trujillo reports.
The Los Angeles Dodgers star underwent surgery Tuesday to repair a torn labrum he suffered during the World Series. Ohtani was injured during an attempt to steal second base in Game 2 on October 26th. It's not clear whether this will impact the timing of the two-way player returning to the mound after he didn't pitch during the 2024 season. The team announced it does expect Ohtani to be ready for spring training.
Kroger has settled with 30 states that sued over the company's involvement in the opioid crisis. As a result, the company will pay nearly $1.4 billion to the states. And Philadelphia 76er Joel Embiid is being suspended for 3 games by the NBA for shoving a reporter. The 7-time All-Star will lose more than $1 million in pay during the suspension, and ESPN says the punishment will start once he's ready to return from injury. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
You're listening to KCAA, your good neighbor along the way.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda is sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
This is an NBC News Radio special report, Decision 2024. Donald Trump is now the president-elect. The Republican is projected to have secured more than enough electoral votes to win Tuesday's general election.
Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great.
Trump defeated Vice President Kamala Harris to become only the second president in U.S. history to be elected to non-consecutive terms. In a victory speech, Trump said America is about to enter a golden age and vowed to deliver a prosperous country. In a post on X this morning, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance thanked the American people for their trust and vowed to never stop fighting for all of you. Reports say VP Kamala Harris has called Donald Trump to concede the election. Harris will also deliver her concession speech to the nation at 4 p.m. Eastern from Howard University in Washington, D.C. NBC News reports President Biden will also call Trump and address the nation about the election results sometime today. This has been an NBC News Radio special report, Decision 2024. I'm Lisa Taylor.
One of the best ways to build a healthier local economy is by shopping locally. Teamster Advantage is a shop local program started by Teamster Local 1932 that has brought together hundreds of locally owned businesses to provide discounts for residents who make shopping locally their priority. Everything from restaurants like Corky's to fun times at SB Raceway and much, much more. If you're not currently a Teamster and you want access to these local business discounts, contact Jennifer at 909-889-8377, extension 224. Give her a call. That number again is 909-889-8377, extension 224.
From the moment the lights dim and the screen flickers to life until that final camera fade and the crowd sits up, there's no other experience like seeing a film. Movies make us feel alive. They bring us together.
And now it's time for the Mentone Film Festival. Join us November 9th through the 11th in Mentone, presented by the Chamber of Commerce and Diamond Jim's Opera House. The festival opens Thursday, November 9th with film shorts and a reception at the Portuguese American Club at 6 p.m. Everyone is welcome. Day 2, November 10th, is Veterans and Student Friday with a salute to veterans and their families with dramas, adventure films, music videos, animation, and horror features. 2 p.m., 4 p.m., and 6 p.m. Day 3, on Saturday, November 11th, thrillers, comedies, mysteries, animation, drama, and romance at noon, 2 p.m., 4 p.m., and 6 p.m. with 7:30 p.m. Film Awards. Located at 1874 Mentone Boulevard in Mentone. Hosted by the Mill Creek Cattle Company and in part by this radio station. Great local fun and entertainment this weekend in Mentone with the 5th Annual Mentone Film Festival. More info and very affordable tickets can be found online at MentoneFilmFestival.com. That's MentoneFilmFestival.com. Now get ready to enjoy a great local film festival.
Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary, Treasurer, and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
All right. Randy Corrigan here at the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. This is the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. I like that music coming in there, Mark. That's good. That's good. Nice little intro. Obviously, a lot going on in the news. I'll be talking about some of that here in a few minutes, but most importantly, I'd like to address the last show. We had a great show last week. We had Evan Sanford from the Redlands Chamber of Commerce, the president of the Redlands Chamber of Commerce. Apparently, he had a previous history in radio and TV, and boy, it came out on the show. He did a really, really good job. Appreciate him coming on and showing all the great things that the Redlands Chamber has done, and most importantly, the partnership that we have with the Redlands Chamber of Commerce and how long that partnership has been with that organization. Also, what really impressed me was the map they had put together. Was really, really cool. And I think it's just a really good resource for those people that in Redlands. It's really fun. So we also had Carlos Resendez on last week from Teamsters Local 630. I think he was phenomenal. He's an avid listener, talked about how hard the work he does in the warehouse and the dairy industry. It just really reminds us at how important these jobs are, especially, with all the hubbub from what's happened this last 24 hours in this election cycle. Obviously there's a lot of people that are disappointed, a lot of people that are happy, depending on what side. I'm going to get into that here in a few minutes and talk about what's most important to take away from the subject. And I think that the best thing to point out from last week's show was the energy from the two workers that are on strike from Kaiser. And I think it was Lisa and Jessica, if I remember correctly, the NUHW workers from Kaiser, the nurses that were here. They did a really good job of explaining why they were on strike, what they were doing, how they were activating, and the importance of the dispute really was around patient care, but also it was around defined benefit and retirement benefits when it comes to what their future looks like. So we really got to give them a big shout out. And next time they have a picket line out there, we want to get out and help them out. So if you're listening live, I really appreciate you coming on. You guys did a phenomenal job on the show of explaining your situation, and really felt like last week's show went really good here in the new studio. I feel it's so close to, obviously it's in our building. So unfortunately, I was running in here at the last minute. I had a trust fund meeting that went a lot later than I intended it to go. Today's pretty stacked day. But it's nice to be in the studio. The studio is really well laid out. KCAA, KQLH, KFXM, all the other radio stations are so happy to be in this space, and we couldn't be happier to partner with them and just increase our ability to get our message out on a large scale, especially in times like we are right now, making sure that we're maximizing a message and a narrative on a larger scale. Don't forget, I'm a longtime organizer, first-time radio host, so anytime I make mistakes here and I don't do things right, blame it on my rookie status. I'm being told that my rookie status expires in about a week because that's when I will be 1 year into doing this job. I disagree. I am going to claim my rookie status for multiple years. I'm going to claim rookie status until multiple callers call in and say you can't claim rookie status anymore, just so that I have something or someone to blame when I make mistakes on live radio. But truth be told, I'm having a great time with it. Really appreciate everybody listening and all the live shout-outs, which is the next part of my show. I really like talking about the live shout-outs, and I think the most important live shout-out to give is to our San Bernardino County Register of Voters. They are Teamsters. Those are Teamsters that helped manage all the election yesterday in San Bernardino County. Really appreciate the hard work. That is a tough day to deal with. Yep, they deserve a huge round of applause. Those Teamsters work the polls, and you don't just have Teamsters that work for the ROV. You obviously have Teamsters from all over the county that volunteer to help with the polls yesterday, and we appreciate all of you that do that work. Quite frankly, especially in the last few years, all the accusations against some of those poll workers, that's just ridiculous. It's sad, but most importantly, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on you and what a great job you do and how important you are. So big shout out for the San Bernardino County Register of Voters. Those are Teamsters that made sure it all got done. Also, City of Fontana is listening in live. Appreciate that. We also have Chino Valley Fire listening in live. We're actually going to have someone from Chino Valley Fire on here pretty soon. We have Warren Pennington, Kyle Monson, and Cleo Cordes, as well as Kevin Ross from the Desert Water Agency listening in live. Congratulations to them. They voted in favor of their merger agreement to become Teamsters. I know I reported on this a few months ago where they had voted to affiliate, but they actually ultimately had to vote on a final document, which was a merger agreement. And that passed last Wednesday. As a matter of fact, as soon as I got done with the radio show, got in a car, drove out to the Desert Water Agency and helped close out that election. And so Warren Pennington and all of you out there, Warren, you did a great job, fabulous job. Welcome to the Teamsters. We'll be closing out the next step, making sure that the employer recognizes your ability to have the Teamsters represent you in bargaining and everything on the job. Amy Shackelford, as always, listening in live. Lonnie Garcia, Shayna Saders, David Mitchell from the Fontana Clinic, Justin Carrasco from ARMC Security. And we have many others listening in live too, including, again, some of our people from 7-Up. And for those of you that are listening in live, those of you that are paying attention, and I actually know I have most of my staff, if not a lot of volunteers, members, and in about 45 minutes, we're going to have about 100 and 150 shop stewards that come to our ERC in the middle of the building, and I know that some of you are listening in live as you're driving over here, so thank you very much for that. And thank you for our staff and all the volunteers last night for the watch party. It was very, very well attended for the election watch party last night. I'm assuming they got a lot of feedback on Facebook, a lot of good pictures, a lot of good output out there, so really appreciate everybody helping make that come together, making sure the food was there, making sure that there were fresh drinks and all that good stuff. So, looking forward to seeing you guys again here real soon at the next membership meeting. So the next part of our show is the 3 Teamster jobs. I said one of them, which was the ROV, San Bernardino County Register of Voters. These hardworking Teamsters who worked well into the night to count ballots. They also work hard and long hours to make sure that we all have the proper tools to vote. And so those are Teamsters. Think about that. If you live in San Bernardino County, you went to the polls and you voted yesterday, guess what? A Teamster made sure that all that went well, and a Teamster made sure that it got handled all the way up until the point it got counted and then obviously stored away for safekeeping. So great job. Here's another particular favorite of mine of a Teamster job, which is Rayovac batteries. They are made by Teamsters. So this Christmas, as you're shopping for batteries and you see Rayovac, make sure you pick the Rayovac over everyone else, because those are Teamster batteries, and they're made so, when you're looking for toys for your kids or for yourself, make sure that you use Rayovac Teamster batteries at the end of the day. We love those workers that are making those batteries. AA, AAA, 9-volt, whatever they are, let's make sure we keep our fellow Teamsters employed. And then as the holiday season obviously gets more and more underway, we need to make sure that it's a reminder that See's Candy are distributed by hardworking Teamsters at Local 630. And so buy your See's Candy. Make sure you go to those stores. At the stores, those are UFCW members, and anybody who's producing and delivering them are actually our members. They're Teamster members at a Local 630. And so those Teamster jobs are very important, very fun. And I don't know how many of you like to bite into a See's Candy, and then maybe you don't like that one, you put it back and you grab the next one. Does anybody in the room do that? No? Or do you eat the whole thing?
The whole thing.
You eat the whole thing? Sometimes, you're like, oh, I want to try, or maybe I don't want to eat too many of them. Obviously, it's hard for us to resist ourselves in this space. I've got a lot of news to go over, and I'm going to actually break the news up sporadically throughout the 2 hours that we got here. The first thing I want to point out is the Boeing strike has been settled. And actually, let me back up on that real quick. Our PAC committee endorsed several candidates through this cycle, and we now are in a situation where we can report that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 of them so far have been declared winners in the seats. There's a number of them that are still hanging out here, but that's really, really good. Really good news. Great job with our PAC committee at interviewing those candidates and helping them get to victory, and congratulations to them. We'll give you a report in the future when more of them come in that have been endorsed and that may win. Obviously, they're in closer races that haven't been completely decided yet. As a matter of fact, I'm looking here, and there's about 8 or 9 of them where they're in first place, but it's close, and it can flip at the end, especially when you get down to the nitty gritty. And so let me go back to the Boeing strike that settled. The Boeing strike, the Boeing factory strike, ends after workers vote to accept the contract there, and the real big issue there was over their retirement plan. You're talking a very profitable company. You're talking a company that many years ago, during some financial difficulties, had asked for the workers to concede on a subject called their retirement plan to make it cheaper. And the workers did, and then now that the company's back to doing well, the workers are saying, hey, look, let's come back in that direction so we have a defined benefit. And essentially the 7-week strike was over that issue, in addition to some others, but mostly really about that issue. And you really can't blame hardworking, skilled people in a space like that with a huge corporation that has the money to make sure these types of programs are funded. You can't blame these workers for throwing down on the issue. So in the end, they didn't agree. They have agreed to go back to work, and they were not able to win the actual defined benefit, but they got an increase in other retirement vehicles, such as their 401k was substantially increased to offset that. For those of us that understand how these systems work, we obviously always believe that the defined benefit is much better. Employer always argues they're more expensive. We understand they're more expensive. But when you have plenty of money and you're a huge corporation that's making immense profits, it's time you share the wealth with everybody. And so that leads me into the point that many of you are listening right now, and you're anticipating what I may say regarding the election results last night. And you're wondering how I'm going to handle this. There's a lot of people in labor that are very, very disappointed by the results. And they're very upset by the results because the people in labor feel as if the winner is not going to be helpful to the cause of workers in this country. And I know many of you listening may have voted for Donald Trump, and you may have felt as if, you may feel as if he's going to support workers. And, you know, we got a chance to see in the first 4 years whether or not his policies would do that. And they did not do that. I know some of you may want to argue with me. Feel free to come on my show, sit right here, right next to me, and let's have a conversation over the policies in which he put in place that was helpful to workers. There are a couple of them I can think about. There are a couple, but there were far more that were actually negatively impactful on the workforce. Look, I'm not going to cry foul and say that the election was stolen and storm the Capitol or do any of this crazy stuff like others have done or claim that the election was a fraud. We're not going to do that. He won. He's a president. Going forward, he's a president-elect. And now, guess what? He gets to be challenged on what he's going to do for working people. And today, immediately today, the first challenge came in for some of us. We are already seeing litigation filed yesterday and today to challenge current worker status of certain situations by big corporations. And I'm not going to get into the details of it yet until those documents become public, which will be very soon. And when those documents become public, I'm going to talk about it because corporate America was waiting for that election result. Corporate America wanted it to happen just like it did so that they can do what I personally witnessed last night and this morning in the filings by corporate America to actually prevent workers from gaining certain things. And so for those of you that want to come on the show and want to argue with me to tell me that the future administration is going to be supportive of workers, I'm a little skeptical on day one, only because of the documentation I already saw today. This is not something I did or I manufactured. This is something that these big corporations did immediately upon the news of Trump winning his election. And so, again, he's going to be the president next 4 years. And what I'm hopeful of, some people may call me ignorant or they may say I'm stupid for being hopeful. But I believe we always should remain hopeful and inspirational in these moments because I'm hopeful that the energy that workers have created will change the policies in which he has done before in the past. I'm hopeful of that. Some will say it's not possible, it's never going to happen, Randy. But at the end of the day, I'm hopeful of it because if you're not hopeful of it, then you might as well just give up. And that means you don't do anything to advocate for change. And why is it important? And why is it important for those that are listening to the show? And I'm gonna actually tap into this subject multiple times over this 2 hours, and I'm gonna try to help you understand that corporate America got what it wanted last night. Corporate America got exactly what it wanted last night. And guess what? The opportunity is, I'm not going to sit here and cry foul. I'm upset. I'm mad. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to say is now it's workers' power. Now it's a workers' opportunity to get what they want. Because if corporate America got what they want and corporate America's profits have been at an all-time high, if corporate America has said, look, we're going to take away these benefits or we're going to do this, we're going to do that, it's time that the big boys pay too. They got what they wanted last night, so today it's time for them to start delivering for workers. And the challenge that I'm issuing everybody listening to this is if you're happy that the election came out the way it did, then I challenge you to make sure that president and that administration and that this incoming Congress and Senate, that they truly support workers, period. That they start supporting these policies and that they reject the things that literally got filed today. That they reject these things where they're going to try to crush workers' hopes and they're going to try to change the law according to Project 2025. And that they now have an opportunity to actually get rid of the argument regarding Project 2025 and that the policies inside 2025, the Project 2025, will not be adopted in 2025. So I challenge everybody. This is where it is. And either regardless of what side you're on, if you're on the side that you're happy of the outcome, well, it is your obligation to make sure that this administration rises to the occasion and actually does what they said they were going to do. And that is protect working people. And for those of you that are upset at the outcome, it's now our opportunity to say, hey, we're going to hold this administration accountable and we're going to actually hold corporations accountable and we're going to take on a message where corporate America got theirs, now it's time for the American worker. If corporate America got theirs and they got theirs in big bundles of cash, guess what? It's time for the American worker to get a little bit of cash too. What's cool is the American worker is usually not as greedy as corporate America is. And so it should be an easier path for the American worker to get a little bit of piece of that action that just came down. You obviously recognize the fact that these policies are going to be very pro-business, and some say that if you're pro-business, guess what? That pro-business policy is going to trickle down to workers. Well, guess what? We got 4 years to make sure that we hold those individuals accountable to do exactly that, whether we like this outcome or not. So if you're listening and you're upset and you don't like what happened, well, you know what your job is to do? It's your job, especially if you're a union worker. If you're a union worker, your job is to challenge a non-union worker to take a piece of that action and to actually build worker power and get that employer to agree to share in a piece of the profit. If you like what happened, your obligation is to do the very same thing. So we have something in common, and we have something that we literally should not be fighting about. If we come together and we fight on behalf of workers, regardless of the partisan stuff, regardless of the Democrats or the Republicans, our community becomes more vibrant and more active because more money goes back into our community when working people have more money to spend. That is the principle of unions. That has been our principle from day one. And like I covered on the show last week, where the Right to Work Committee called us all kinds of names, said we're this and said we're that, and unions are this and unions are that, while the person that they've been paying, the head of their party, that person has been saying, no, I'm for workers. Even though things that have been coming to people's homes villainizing unions and undermining unions, that game that's being played needs to end. And whether you support the outcome or you don't like the outcome, we are on the same page and have the ability to demand more. And now what I think we have to do is we have to turn it up a notch. You've seen workers across this country right now mobilizing, taking direct action. Those workers are Democrats, they're Republicans, they're independents. They're all over the board. They're fighting collectively companies like Amazon or Starbucks or these huge corporations with big profits. They're fighting to get a small piece of the pie. And it's our obligation to support them. So then if you're a non-union worker, what is your obligation? Your obligation is to, I'm going to say it like it is, stop complaining, organize a union, and demand your employer come to the table and negotiate a good contract and force them collectively and fairly. Don't overreach. Make sure it's fair. I'm going to get into this a little bit more and a little bit later when I get into more of the news. But, today is not a day where we lick our wounds. Today is not a day where we get upset. Today is not a day where we get mad. That's the easy thing to do. We owe it to people in the early 1900s, late 1800s, mid 1800s. We owe it to everybody before us to not act like a baby right now and pout. We owe it to everybody to get out there, work hard, encourage one another to do something about it, and encourage one another to be supportive and to build worker power and to get our fair share. Corporate America got what they wanted. It's time for the American worker to get theirs too. And that leads me to a good segue at this point, which is our Teamster Advantage partner. And so our Teamster Advantage partner, our Teamster Advantage program has been one of my favorite programs that we've built out over the last many years. And as unions get villainized for all the things that we get villainized for, one of the amazing things is we have built this system with more than 1,000 small businesses where we advertise for them for free in our app notifications. We talk about, hey, shop local, go to this, don't go to Applebee's, go to this small restaurant here. Instead of going to the big box store, go here, go there. Instead of ordering online, go here, go there. Like, we're doing our part of making sure that the working class and that the middle class and that these small business owners are surviving, and they're doing the best they can to raise their family and provide benefits and do all the things they got to do for their little small business. Because it's not the small businesses that are ruining our economy. It's not the small business that are hurting workers. It's the big corporations that are taking advantage of all this stuff. And so Our Teamster Advantage program is, again, one of my favorite programs, and I'm always happy to have a Teamster Advantage partner on, because we love this system that we've built. We're in 26 chambers of commerce, and we participate actively to try to help, and we don't charge anybody anything within that space. And so with that, I have a Teamster Advantage partner today, and instead of me rambling on and being all fired up, because believe me, after last night and this morning, I could get even more fired up. And there are some people that are like, man, I actually had one of my daughters text me and say, Dad, are you going to talk about this on the show today? I was like, yep. So, with that, let's talk to Jose here. You have a couple restaurants, right?
Yes, we do. We do have 2 restaurants. We do have 2 restaurants. Basically, it's 2 restaurants in one building. We have 2 restaurants in one building.
So there's diversity. Right. So what are your restaurants? What are the 2 different
basically, the names are Farmhouse Restaurant and Los Dos Gallos, Los Dos Gallos Bar and Grill. And it's both restaurants are on the same building.
So what is? Tell me, what's a couple dishes that you got there?
Well, for breakfast we have a little bit of a specials from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's early breakfast. It's from $8.99 specials that we have for. We call them early birds specials. That's basically what we have. That's from Monday through Friday. For the people that wake up early, they have really good specials going on.
Right. What do you think is your best breakfast?
Our best breakfast, it can be, we can go from a spinach and bacon omelet. That's one of the most popular ones.
I don't like spinach. That's not for me. Can I substitute that with something?
Yeah, you can substitute with, you can do, we have a bunch of them. So we have different items you can choose from.
Now, I know where you're located, but listeners may not. So where specifically are you located?
We are located on Banning, California. Banning. And the address, it will be 6261 Joshua Palmer Way.
Joshua Palmer Way?
Uh-huh.
That's right there off the freeway, right?
Exactly.
Right behind the Chevron.
Exactly.
The gas station.
Next to Denny's. I don't want to mention Denny's.
I wasn't going to mention it. I eliminated it. I was like, no, I'm not going to say that word.
I know, but it's good. That's
a good marker.
It's a good marker.
That's a good point.
Really good. But we're doing good. We're doing good. Thanks God. We're doing good.
That's good. So tell me about the other restaurant.
And the other restaurants, we have really good specials. We have happy hour. We have, like Monday, we have...
So you serve beers?
We do.
And happy hour, because you can have happy hour without food. So
we do serve beer. We do serve beers, but basically on Monday all day we have Monday margaritas all day, and it's $4.
Monday margaritas.
Monday margaritas, $4 all day long. Sounds. We open until we close 9 p.m. And on Monday we do have karaoke night on Monday, and we have karaoke on Friday too.
All right. So night. Get a few beers, have some karaoke, listen to some terrible singing.
Exactly. And
you got to hear some crazy bad singing, and then some good stuff from time to time.
Well, I don't want to say no names, but I know Mark probably gonna get mad. But
is Mark on in there a song?
He's been there a couple of times, And
I just drink beer there. I'm not doing any singing.
He's not really fan of margaritas or singing, but he drinks a couple of beers to have fun. He's a really good customer with us.
So I'm going to give you my number, and if he gets out of hand, just give me a call.
I think I might be calling you every time he shows up over there.
So what are your food specials? I heard the margarita special. First of all, what kind of margaritas are there? Are they mango margaritas? Regular margaritas?
We have the original. That is the best one. We have mango. We have a strawberry. We have peach, raspberry, coconut, pineapple.
Do you have a jalapeno margarita?
We do have a jalapeno margarita, but it's not on happy hour. But we do have a
why not?
Well, maybe we can throw it in there too, And we do have a really good one. It's the cucumber margarita too.
Oh yeah,
cucumber margarita. Yeah. It's really really popular, and including the Cadillac. Cadillac margarita is one of the best ones.
See, that's the trick to happy hour. You pull them all in, and then it's like, yeah, you can get the $4 margarita, but the jalapeno margarita is $6, $8, yeah, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
But you know what? We have really good appetizers for $6.
Like what?
We have the nachos. They can choose from.
I love nachos.
Beef, shredded chicken. We do have the wings for $6 too. The original wings. We have different flavors. We have barbecue, the original wing.
Okay, what kind of cheese are on the nachos? I gotta know.
Shredded.
Oh.
A lot of people don't like shredded, but
what? No, you gotta have shredded cheese on your nachos. You douse it in shredded cheese, and you make sure it's nice and melted.
Shredded cheese is really good, but you know what? It's it's really popular. Especially the chicken ones are really popular.
Grilled chicken or shredded chicken?
Shredded chicken.
Shredded chicken.
And we have mozzarella sticks too on our menu for happy hour. We have some sliders too that it comes with French fries. It's pretty good dishes, pretty good size, pretty good portions for $6. And then our happy hour is Monday through Friday, from 4 to 9 until we close. And some people they want to stay there longer. It's fine. We can stay open a little bit later.
So you'll stay as long as people are throwing down.
Exactly.
This guy's great. This is great.
We're good.
So will you stay long enough for the breakfast place to open up next door?
Yes, we. Basically, our breakfast is we serve breakfast all day.
Oh, okay.
We sell breakfast all day. That's one of the things. That's one of the good things that we have two restaurants. Farmhouse. We close Farmhouse at 3 p.m. during the week, at 4 p.m. during the weekends. But when we have music on the other side, we have some people that they don't like to be too loud, and we have the other restaurant open for the people that want to be on a quiet place and have a good day.
That's smart. So you use the restaurant part of the farmhouse to keep them away from the noise of the happy hour.
Exactly.
And the maybe everybody's going to the restaurant because they don't want to hear the karaoke singers.
Yeah, a lot of people they want to hear them. But even I'm one
some
of them.
Some are pretty bad, man.
Some are really bad. But you know what? It's okay. But some of them are really good. Really. I'm surprised that last couple of weeks we'll be getting a lot of really good singers.
That's good. That's good. My wife's actually a really good singer, believe it or not.
And come and join us.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to.
We have really good sales.
She's actually sung the national anthem at Dodger Stadium a couple times.
Oh.
And I got a real funny story. Like when we walked off the field, I think it was in 2014. Magic Johnson was standing there, and Tommy Lasorda and all of them. And Magic was like, I actually heard Magic say this. And think of how many national anthems Magic Johnson's heard in his time. Like, I mean, you can't even count them, right? He said, that's one of the best national anthems I've ever heard. And she did a cappella, no music in the background, just nailed the national anthem. Anyway, just doing a little soft promotion for my amazing wife.
I'm going to throw something on there about Dodgers. It happens to us on last Thursday when they were playing the championship. We have the games and everything because we have like 6 TVs, big TVs, and we have it's loud, We have it loud and everything. But when I see that people when Dodgers they were losing 5-0, everybody started leaving.
Did they all come back after they tied up? They bailed on you. Oh man!
They said, you know what? They losing. We're going home. Here's the ticket and bye.
Oh man!
And then I feel sorry for them because, they left it. Well, probably some of them went home, probably crying because they were losing. But you know what happened? Now
they
came
back. Yeah, they came back.
They're champions.
We actually had a vote count in Palm Springs and Desert for the Desert Water Agency, and it was about the 6th inning, right after they came back and scored 5 runs, and so we caught the tail end of the game at a place over there in Cathedral City, but. And that place was full. Those were diehard Dodger fans. They didn't leave. It was still full when we got there, and that place was going off. So it was fun to see everybody celebrate. So, you got any funny stories before we wrap this up? Thanks for coming on.
No, thank you. First of all, we have a lot of funny stories in there, a lot of them, but
you got to come look at them. You got to come see them.
I have to remember, but it's kind of we're there every day, so. We go through a lot of people, and then I'll see a lot of funny stuff and everything. But I don't know which one to say. Which one like.
That's okay. So think about it. The next time you come on the show, let's have you lined up with a whole bunch of funny stories.
I'm gonna tell one really quick.
Oh, good. There we go.
On a karaoke, I found this girl. She was drinking. She probably drank like 2 happy hour margaritas, but she was already probably on her 80s, and I feel sorry that she just fall off like. From nothing, and everybody was laughing. I was like, oh my God, why are they laughing instead of helping her, But it was funny because she woke up like nothing. She stand up like doing like
jump back up and started going at it.
Like nothing happened, and nothing happened. It was crazy.
She was a pro,
but it was fun. It was fun. But you know what? Let me tell you a little bit, really quick about Los Dos Gallos. Los Dos Gallos. It's a Mexican restaurant. We sell mariscos. We have Mexican food. We sell tacos. We have a bunch of stuff. We have flautas. We have sandwiches too. The most popular one it's the molcajete.
Oh,
the molcajete.
Had one of those the other day.
We had 3 molcajetes. We have the cielo mar y tierra molcajete. We have the seafood molcajete. Or we have the molcajete, the mix molcajete that is all shrimp and octopus and all that stuff. Good stuff.
The way you're talking about it right now, it's like
I'm hungry.
You're thinking about how
I'm hungry. I'm hungry. But yet, I recommend you guys to visit us, and I would like to invite the community to come and check us out. And we have really good deals. We have really good specials. We have senior discounts, and we have.
Are you saying I'm a senior citizen?
No, I'm not saying that you're one of them, but.
Well, you're right by Sun Lake, so you got a big senior community right there.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope, and I would like to thank you guys to let us come and here to invite our guests to come and join us to the restaurant. It's 2 restaurants in the same building, like I told you. And we're trying our best to serve the community.
So I'm assuming you got a really good shrimp cocktail.
It is.
All
and
right.
on Thursdays, it's on sale, $12.99.
Really? All right.
Every Thursday, $12.99.
Well, Mark just did a thumbs up through the glass over here, so it must be really
Mark
good.
will be happy. We have the beer on happy hour every week. Huh Mark? Especially the Dos Equis, huh?
Exactly. Well, thanks for coming on. Really. Oh, I didn't even ask you, what's the discount the Teamsters get?
15% off.
15% off.
15% off.
My
Exactly.
goodness. Just for being a Teamster.
Exactly. Just for being the Teamster.
And anything you want to say about the partnership? Obviously, you love the fact that Mark keeps coming in there, and he's probably your best customer.
He's one of our best customers. He's one of our best customers, especially on a beer. No, I'm just playing, Mark.
Well, we really appreciate the relationship, the partnership, and what you do for the community. Small businesses, it's tough. You obviously got to work hard 7 days a week.
Exactly. We have to be there 7 days
It's
a
a grind. And we appreciate what you're doing for the local community.
Thank
and
you,
we
thank
appreciate the relationship with the Teamsters.
It's a pleasure to be a Teamster with you guys. It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure.
So with that, what we're going to do is, Mark, let's take a real quick break so we can do a transition. This is Randy Corrigan with the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. It's the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. Just take a 30-second break.
Everybody to the Wild Wild West, a state that's untouchable like Elliot Ness. The track hits your eardrum like a to your chest, like a vest for you in the city of. We in that sunshine state where the bomb be, the state where you never find a dance floor empty and be on a mission for them. Lean, mean, money making machines, serving fiends. I've been in the game for 10 years making rap tunes. Ever since Honeys was wearing Sassoon, now it's 95 and they clock me and watch me diamond shining, looking like a Rob Liberace. It's all good from Diego to the Bay. Your city is the bomb if your city making pain. Throw up a finger if you feel the same way. Straight putting it down for California, yeah.
All right, Randy Corrigan here, back with the Worker Power Hour. I'm actually joined by Jason from the Chino Valley Fire District. I'm going to get into it with you in a few minutes. I'm going to do a little bit more of some news and stuff like that. Really excited to hear from your group. Let me turn your mic on real quick. Yeah, really excited to hear about all the great work you've done over there here in the last couple months and your great new contract. Short of that, just talk a little bit more about the news. Actually, before that, Sheila Muir listening in live. She's a retiree. We also have Angela Haddad, who's listening in. 911 dispatcher. Man, we really appreciate our 911 dispatchers. That has got to be that is an incredibly difficult job. I'm gonna get Susan Loftus on at some point. I know it's almost like I say it every single week. I know she usually listens in live, but I figure that's how I can get people on the show, is if I berate them enough on the air, I can sometimes pull them in. But Angela, really appreciate the work that you do as a 911 dispatcher. That's an extremely difficult job. You really no one in that space kind of gets recognition for what you have to deal with on a daily basis. But we definitely appreciate you. And so, some of our news that we have actually a lot going on. And I think the biggest one I'd like to talk about as far as general news is the Teamsters call on the federal court to uphold the CMEX doctrine. And, the calling to uphold the ruling in the CMEX doctrine materials decision is really, really, really important. Ironically, just so you know, that's this morning, a decision that was made a year ago to protect workers. Early this morning, corporate America immediately moved to try to get this thing pounded out. So the point that I made earlier regarding what corporate America wanted out of last night's election, they got it. And we can see immediately that the new administration, the new president's not even in office yet. And we see legal filings literally today challenging really good decisions that support workers in their ability to either organize, be represented, safety issues around the job. And so, again, I'm going to tell you, don't pout, don't be upset, regardless of this outcome. If you liked the outcome, then you need to challenge this future administration to not knock down good laws and to support some good stuff that's coming. If you don't like the decision that came out in the election victory, your obligation is to get involved and make sure that workers collectively come together and demand change from their employer, because that's what defines worker power. And I want you to take a step back and think about what workers went through in 1920, 1915, 1890, 1875, 1880. Think about no rules on the books, nothing to protect them, because there was no rule on the books to protect workers until 1934. The first rules to protect workers on the job wasn't until 1934. So every battle that happened prior to 1934 for workers was done without a set of rules. So as much as we may not like the policy makers today, the reality is we're spoiled compared to what those people went through to give us a foundation of what we have. And man, we have an obligation right now in this moment to not be upset, not pout, or not grandstand if you're on the winning side of this, and forget that it's workers that have to be taken care of in this country, because our union took a position in federal court to uphold that doctrine, to uphold that decision when it comes to CMEX. That decision for CMEX is very, very important for workers to organize in this country, very important for workers to build worker power, very important for workers to be protected on the job. And for that to be challenged, and for corporate America to try to blow out that decision and actually water down some of the very little rules there are to protect these workers, it's time that we get behind one another and we make sure these things are upheld. And so kudos to the Teamsters Union as a whole, to our General President, Sean O'Brien, to our General Executive Board for doubling down on this issue, for preparing a brief and intervening on this case at federal court to make sure that the CEMEX, it's spelled CEMEX doctrine. You want to look it up. You want to double check what I'm saying. You want to come on the show and argue with me? I would love to have a debate with anybody on a subject like this, especially right now. I am fired up over the fact of what happened last night and this morning, and the fact that, yes, labor is disappointed. But you know what? It's a challenge to us to start holding everybody accountable on a higher level. And it's up to us to make sure that we educate workers and show them what rights that they have for them to eventually maybe withhold their labor on their employer and say, hey, we're not going to go to work until we can agree to terms. You have that right in this country as a worker. And unfortunately, most workers have been talked out of that process and have been made to fear it. And we have to embrace it. And this moment teaches us we have to embrace it even more. For as much as the administration that's coming in to represent this country claims to protect workers, it's time for them to show that they will. And the only way they're going to do that is if the workforce actually gets out there and holds them accountable. Period. Call your congressman, call your senator, call your representatives, and make sure that your voice is heard in this place, in this space, and make sure that workers understand it. And this ties into my next guest, Jason. You guys and ladies at the Chino Valley Fire District, just a few weeks ago, they were knocking on doors. You're activating. Go ahead and pull that mic towards you a little bit more. You're actually building worker power, getting together, working with the firefighters, working with the community, working with one another to make sure. And if I got this, tell me if I got this wrong. Your executive level of management at the fire district thought that they deserved more, substantially more, in their raises coming up than they wanted to allocate for you in bargaining. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
And first of all, thank you for the work that you do. So I'd like for you to talk a little bit about the work that you do, and how important that is to our community. And then we'll talk about the labor stuff.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Randy, for your time and for me to be here. Honestly, I really appreciate this moment of sharing our story. But as far as what I do at the fire district, I am a fire inspector as well as a fire investigator. So the state of California requires us, the fire inspectors, to represent the state and do fire inspections for schools, apartments, and hotels, things of that. And what we do is we do our inspections, and then we write reports and give them corrections if needed, as well as we do host community events. So we're somewhat as public education personnel as well. So it's a variety of things that we do at the district. We are part of administration.
You preemptively make sure stuff doesn't burn down.
Correct. We are right. Basically the front line.
You're the firefighter before someone's got to hold a hose.
That is correct. Yes. So
you like that phrase? You're going to steal that?
I do. Actually, I kind of give that pitch to young inspectors that are going to join this type of career. So yeah, we're the first in, you could say, when it comes to preventing fires and not making sure that everyone is safe.
God, that's good. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
It appears as if your agency didn't respect your service quite as much as they should have, and you kind of had to do some things to catch their attention, right? So let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started negotiations back in June of this year, and we had a new management team brought to the district, and so they were conducting our negotiations. And so I've been sitting on our union board for about 3 negotiations, and so I kind of know what the process is as far as with our negotiations. But given that we had a new management team, it was not the case. We just had a lot of miscommunication, a lot of issues where we didn't understand what the process was, and them telling us, what they thought was fair for us to be given as far as whatever they wanted to give us on a contract that, quite frankly, was under service for us. So,
and it was substantially lower than what they were going to do for their executive team, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And one thing that really struck to me was I don't think they understand what we do in our position and what we do on a daily for the community. And I feel that that was a big issue, is how do I explain to these individuals that don't know anything about my job why this contract was undeserving for us. And I think that was the biggest issue, is just trying to communicate that, trying to get that message across, because quite frankly, they just saw us as folks that work at an administration office and just basically, I don't know if they thought we just do paperwork or if we don't really go out and do inspections. I don't know what was going through their head, but they just basically made us look like we were just administration folks and that was it, that we didn't do anything else other than that. And maybe I'm wrong, but that was what the message came to us.
Well, here's what's ironic about that. They are just administration folks.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
They actually don't do the work out in the field, right?
Yeah.
And it's no shot, but you know, looking at the numbers, they tried to give themselves a higher raise than everybody else, and it wasn't like they were behind the market.
Yeah.
They were actually in front of the market, doing pretty good, and then still tried to treat your group like it was it was less. You guys all got together. You got together with the firefighters, and you obviously built a little bit of a campaign, and you knocked on doors, and you did some good stuff, and you had a good time doing it. And you obviously went to a meeting. So how did that make you feel, seeing everybody come together in the support?
It actually made me feel great. Honestly, when I stepped into the president role for our membership, that was the ultimate goal for me, was to unite our members and to see if we can build a stronger relationship with the firefighters. And honestly, to me, it was a blessing in disguise, this whole negotiation process, because I never thought this was going to happen. And
they actually tried to do a take it or leave it on you, huh?
They sure did, yeah. And
that didn't work.
And that did not work,
Right.
yeah. The thing that we had, I guess, in our favor is that we were patient enough to see what was going to be the outcome on their contract as far as management. So, yeah, I'm glad we waited and we hold off and we stand firm in what we believe as far as, we're going to wait to get a fair contract.
So we don't need to get into the details of the contract, but I think what's best about pointing it out is they tried to do a take it or leave it, like a last best and final on you, throw down and say, I don't know what to tell you. That tells you that that's where they were and that they felt that that's all that you were worth, right? So then you did some things, and then that offer changed substantially, and then ultimately the members ended up approving the change, correct?
Yes.
So it shows firsthand the difference in the power of collective bargaining, right?
Right.
Because clearly, if collective bargaining wasn't there to begin with, the first offer probably wouldn't have been as good as it was, even though we thought it was bad, right?
Yes.
So we're probably not starting from a good point to begin with.
Right.
But let's just assume, just to make ourselves feel better for the example, let's assume that we were in that position, and if you didn't have collective bargaining, that their last best and final offer was it. That's all you were worth.
Right.
So anything you got above that through this process shows the pure power of collective bargaining. How does that make you feel?
It's a perfect example of, having that union support, because ultimately it wasn't for us to say, you know what, we are not going to be able to continue this battle. And honestly, for what it was worth as far as going through this whole process, it just felt great. Honestly, I think the biggest thing was the lack of communication from our board, our district board, because we're giving information from an attorney and not hearing it from the board.
They're hiding behind an attorney.
Exactly. So for us, it was just more of like, hey, what's really the truth? And so it was just great to have that confidence, knowing that, hey, we're represented by Teamsters. We are united. We're going to stand firm on what we believe as far as our contract. And sure enough, I would like to say that I think we did a hell of a good job.
Sounds like you did. And the process of kind of learning that camaraderie, the process of knocking on doors, the process of seeing the support from the community, obviously the process of, when you have a meeting and and other people come from other agencies or the county or other staff members, right? Like the feeling of how that impacts you. How did it feel to see those chambers packed that day? Look around and have all those Teamsters around you.
It felt great. And honestly, I've just enjoyed seeing, as far as the folks that are in front of us on, as far as management and the board, seeing wow, they are represented. They're coming in large groups. I think that, and as well as our members, seeing the support that came that night to hear us out and hear us speak on what our concerns were in regards to the contract, and as well as just talk about what we do at the district, how we're a big asset. Without us, the administration folks, and shout out to everyone that are listening there at Chino Valley Fire
District. They better all be listening.
Without us, there is no district. So
yeah, sometimes we get into this space and everybody kind of forgets that it takes a whole team to get things done. It's never one individual that does it.
Right.
I'm assuming you got some pretty funny stories in your job. You've probably tripped on some pretty amazing things. We don't have time because we've got to go to a mandatory break in a minute. And what we'll do is we're going to go to the mandatory break, and then we'll have you on right after the mandatory break.
You got it.
So you'll have plenty of time to think of some clean stories, by the way.
You got it.
Because I'm sure you got both, maybe something you can't say live on the air, as well as some clean stories. And so looking forward to hearing some of those things when we come back after the hour. This is Randy Corrigan in the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. And I'm going to say it again now for the first time, or one of the first times of thousands to come. It's the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. Listen to how powerful that is. Your union, your organization has its own network of radio stations. And what we've been able to do is build this coalition in our community of small businesses, Chamber of Commerce, multiple chambers, elected officials, radio station. The list goes on. Obviously, great jobs that we represent within the community. I couldn't be prouder of our membership. I couldn't be prouder of the things that we've accomplished here at Teamsters 1932. And I hope all of you are just as proud. And if you are, say it loud and say it proud. We're going to roll to a mandatory break. Take it away, Mark. You were supposed to have some music there, huh? That's all right. See, long-time organizer, first-time radio host. I got 15 more seconds here. Well, just play some music. Dump some music in there. See, Mark's going to get a demerit.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
This is an NBC News Radio special report, Decision 2024. Kamala Harris is conceding the presidential race to Donald Trump.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. As long as we never give up, and as long as we keep fighting.
Harris said she called President-elect Trump earlier today to congratulate him. Harris thanked her supporters for all their hard work and also thanked Governor Tim Walz for his work on the campaign trail. This has been an NBC News Radio special report, Decision 2024. I'm Lisa Taylor.
One of the best ways to build a healthier local economy is by shopping locally. Teamster Advantage is a shop local program started by Teamster Local 1932 that has brought together hundreds of locally owned businesses to provide discounts for residents who make shopping locally their priority. Everything from restaurants like Corky's to fun times at SB Raceway and much, much more. If you're not currently a Teamster and you want access to these local business discounts, contact Jennifer at 909-889-8377, extension 224. Give her a call. That number again is 909-889-8377. 889-8377, extension 224.
This message brought to you by Donald Williamson, 3-term tax assessor and tax saver. Donald Williamson would like to take this opportunity to salute all of our young men and women serving in our armed forces. To those who risk their lives daily to keep us free, we say thank you. Donald Williamson, United States Marine, MCRD, retired. Donald Williamson says Semper Fi. This community reminder brought to you by Donald Williamson, 3-term tax assessor. Donald Williamson is on the air because he cares. You can find out more information about Donald Williamson at DonaldWilliamsonTaxSaver.com. That's DonaldWilliamsonTaxSaver.com.
What would you do if you had a broken bone? You'd go to the doctor and use your insurance, right? Well, what would you do if you have a serious problem with drugs and alcohol? Most people do nothing until it's way too late. Your insurance can help you get clean and sober with the assistance of a place like the Detox and Treatment Helpline. Many times, addiction treatment is fully covered. So why not use your insurance to treat your addiction problem just like you would if you had a broken bone? And with the Family Medical Leave Act, you're allowed to take time off by law, and your employer doesn't need to know the reason. So there are 2 good reasons. You've got insurance you can use for your addiction problem, and with the Family Medical Leave Act, it's completely confidential. Call now, 800-398-7414. That's 800-398-7414.
Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary, Treasurer, and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
Randy Corrigan here, back on the Worker Power Hour. I appreciate you having my favorite band on, by the way. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. All dressed up and nowhere to go. Story of our life, right? So, we have Jason back. The one thing we didn't talk about before the break, Jason is with the Chino Valley Fire District. And they have just won a really good contract, and they did it through a little bit of a battle. And part of the battle, too, was teaming up with the firefighters and some community members and actually ousting a board member, right?
Yes. Correct.
Ousting a board member that was driving this trying to drive this sort of agenda on the workers there. Is that correct? And I heard that it's official that Andrew Romaine is now going to be a new board member, and that John DeMonico has been bounced, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And so, from what we all understand, that John was really the driving force to kind of do these type of proposals and take this position in bargaining.
Well, that's the thing that kind of was so confusing with us, because it was really an attorney saying, "Hey, it's."
The attorney was the front.
The front, yeah. We don't know who's making these calls as far as what our contract should be. And
so John suffered the consequences in losing his board seat, correct?
Yes.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's the point. That's worker power. Yep. Knocking on doors, making a statement, and saying, hey, if you're not going to be fair, we don't know what to tell you.
Yes, absolutely.
We're going to get down.
Yeah. And, once again, shout out to all our Teamster members who went out to canvass and honestly made a big difference on that whole election, because it was really close as far as what the numbers were with the voting.
Yeah, it's a small district.
Small district.
Not a lot of people know what to vote for, so they kind of skip over that down ballot, right?
Right, yeah.
But you guys had a watch party on it, huh?
Yeah, yesterday we had a watch party.
That's good for you.
Shout out to the Chino Valley Fire professional firefighters for inviting us. They were the one that hosted the party, so we got to hang out with Andrew Romaine last night, and it was it was a good turnout. Good
well,
event.
if you're listening, or maybe if you're listening on the recorded version later, congratulations. Hope that you could be a great partner going forward. Sounds like you probably are, especially that they see how powerful it is to put some boots on the ground, literally knock on some doors and make a change as a result of an agenda being driven by a handful of people or an individual. Yeah. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
It's got to make you feel amazing.
It's a double win. It felt great.
As much as some people are mad over the election outcome on the presidential side, more can be done at the local level, and there's actually more of an impact that goes on at the local level every single day. And when we can lay out literally dozens and dozens of wins like this that we're talking about right now, it's important for us to pay attention, because the impact on us and our community happens more locally than it does at the presidential level. Right. It does at the state Senate level or the congressional level, right?
Right, 100%.
And you just experienced it firsthand.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we met with Andrew, when we were considering endorsing him, it was more, what are your values? And the fact that he was a retired firefighter, first a mechanic with his department that he worked for, and then a firefighter, knowing that he was part of a union and having that at least relationship, knowing that he's pro-union, that was a big plus for us. We thought this is the right person for us to endorse.
All right. Tell us a funny story.
All right. So
clean enough that you can say on live radio.
So I have this horrible tendency of letting friends and family know about certain places I inspect, and fortunately my coworkers, they get the blunt of it because they hear me say, oh yeah, I just did this inspection at this restaurant, and I really don't recommend you guys eating there. Well, I mean, sometimes I give the message way too late.
Maybe that's what makes it taste so good.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. They just look at me and say, really? You're going to tell us now after we just ate there?
Oh, you don't have to tell the restaurant on the live on the air.
No.
But tell me what you found.
Oh my. I mean, from rodents to things that don't know what grow off of kitchen appliances. It's just
things that you don't know what grow. Yeah. You don't even know what it is.
Yeah,
it's growing on the appliance.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, clearly I'm not a health inspector, but I can say that at least if I care about someone, I'm gonna say, hey, you know what? It's best that you don't eat there. And to me, I mean, I'll just be truthful. But at the end of the day, we look and if we think about it, we laugh because we're just like, oh my gosh, how many years have we gone to that restaurant and
Yeah.
I mean, thank goodness no one has gotten sick, but yeah, it's just one
maybe
of
they
those
did. You just didn't know about it.
But yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I guess that's kind of the downfalls of being an inspector, a fire inspector, doing this stuff.
But you probably found some real clean ones too.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Is it the majority clean? And
majority are clean. Yeah.
Majority are clean.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. That is really, really good to hear.
Yeah. So really pay attention to your those signs outside in front of the restaurants. Those the rating signs. Those
they mean something.
They mean something.
They mean something. Especially if you're rolling on one that's got a C.
Yeah. It's not C for clean. That's for sure.
That is correct. Any other funny stories you got?
Man. I mean, we do occasionally go on cases where we do enter in people's homes, and obviously we see way more than we need to. And it's just, I guess, how do you address it? Like, hey, I'm here to focus on one thing and I don't want to get into
I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, your personal life. But I've seen some interesting folks, and I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, it's it's part of the job, and honestly, I mean, I love to network with folks, and just to get to know them as far as within our community, because Chino Valley, it's very small community, and so everybody kind of knows everyone. If not, they know of you. So yeah, obviously just got to be professional about it. But it's interesting knowing folks on a personal level like that.
Well, once again, thank you for your service. Thank you for the work that you
you.
do. It's unfortunate that sometimes the general public takes this kind of for granted, but obviously we don't. I'm assuming you're proud to be a Teamster.
Yes, 100%.
Don't you love this?
Yes.
Isn't it great? Isn't it? I fell in love with this organization when I was, like 18, 19 years old. And it's broken my heart from time to time, just because it's the dynamic of over 30 years and, things happen, life happens.
Right.
But in the end, man, it's been so beautiful to see it help so many people every day. The principles and the foundations of which we stand for are exactly here what we're talking about right now.
Right.
So thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you so much.
And we're doing everything we can with this radio show, the billboards, and everything that we do to just kind of keep getting that message and that narrative out to try to prevent people like John DeMonico from knocking it down and making us feel undervalued, right?
Right. Right. Well,
anything you want to close on before we wrap you up here?
Well, I just want to say thank you.
We're going to wrap you up in a bow.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Randy, for this time. And I did want to give you a gift from our Fire Foundation, some T-shirts for you and Robert here.
Oh, that's a nice shirt.
Thank you so much for your time. And also wanted to share, we'll be having a brew fest. Hops in the Hills for this coming Saturday. I'll leave the information here. So it'll be at Luchador Brewery. So if you guys can make it, I encourage all Teamsters to please help support. This is for our foundation. All the proceeds go to our community and those that are in need, especially during incidents that folks just need that help.
So it's Brewfest 2024, Hops in the Hills, and that is at 15941 Pomona Rincon Road in Chino Hills.
Yes, that's correct.
And that is on Saturday, November 9th.
Yes, that's
between 12 general admission is between 1 and 4. If you are a special super VIP, you can get in at 12 o'clock.
Yes, and you can find all this information on our social media on Chino Valley Fire Foundation. So, and then one last one is Stuff the Boot and Toy Drive. That'll be December 8th at the shops in Chino Hills. So if you have any toys that you love to donate, please, or any donations would be greatly appreciated. So, and that information will be as well on our website on the Chino Valley Foundation.
Yeah, we'll make sure we get it on our website, right, Robert? Yes. Yep.
Awesome.
I'm going to get Robert was on a show yesterday during the watch party, and I always tell him, get a microphone in front of you. He actually, I always felt like he'd do a good job. He killed it yesterday, and see, today he's hiding from the microphone. He doesn't have a microphone in front of him. Anyway, all right, shots fired. Anything you want to close on?
No, I just want to say thank you. If anything, it's such a rewarding feeling to know that being part of Teamsters has been a great experience for me personally, Randy, and to be here to explain and give our story on how our negotiation went. Honestly, I mean, I never thought I would be in this situation, but given that I think everything for us, as far as Chino Valley Fire Teamsters, I guess it was a blessing for this to happen, for me to be here and talk to you. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Welcome. We welcome to the show. We appreciate the relationship. And with that, can I get just like a quick 30-second break so we can transition into the next part of the show and away from the guests? There we go. Thank you very much, Mark. All right. All dressed up and nowhere to go. You could always find a place to go, right? I missed somebody. Michelle Etheridge listening in live from P-Town. That is Pomona, for those of you that actually don't know. And then my daughter said, "Nicely said, Dad." So thank you, kid. Really, if you're still listening, really appreciate you saying that, because I'm not done. I got some ranting to do and some things to say as I go through more of this news and pointing out things that are going on. So in IBT news, Cisco Sigma drivers vote overwhelmingly to become Teamsters. They, despite a shameful union-busting campaign by their company, more than 60 drivers at Cisco Sigma have voted overwhelmingly to join Local 995 in the great city of Kansas City. I'll tell you, Kansas City, for those of you that have never been to Kansas City, you just got to go to the Teamster Hall in Kansas City. It's old in a sense that some may say, oh, it's an old era, but if you really look at the detail of those local unions in Kansas City that are actually all in the same building, it just reminds you of some of the history there with labor in Kansas City. And for those of you, some of you don't know your geography, Kansas City is Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. Literally two cities that straddle the Missouri River, or is it Mississippi? I forget. I guess I'm not all that great with it right now. And then, yes, my daughter says she's still here listening. So thanks, kid, for listening in. Appreciate that. Anyway, congratulations to those drivers in Kansas City, and they have become Teamsters. And so Teamsters at the Michigan AFL-CIO ratify their first collective bargaining agreement. And so organizing specialists, training specialists, graphic designers, advocacy coordinators, and policy coordinators at Michigan AFL-CIO have voted unanimously to ratify their first collective bargaining agreement with Teamsters Local 243 in Michigan. So congratulations to them. The CVS workers have reached a tentative agreement over the weekend, and 7,000 CVS workers have agreed upon a contract with the UFCW. And so really congratulate those workers in that space. And again, that brings me to coming back to what happened last night and why so many people in labor are upset. For those of you that are supportive of the outcome, I want you to understand you need to read Project 2025. You need to understand what the plan is to deal with labor, and you need to push back on it to prevent those policies from going into place. Don't take it from me. You need to read it. There's a more than 900-page document that lays out all of these things that they want to do with labor. And let me give you something that is most irritating to me in Project 2025. And it's important that we push back and prevent this policy from passing, because it's been promised to pass with the vote outcome. And again, for those of you that are supportive, it's up to you to help us prevent a policy like this from happening. And I'll give you the example of what this first policy is. Workers will not be able to organize in a fashion where their employer recognizes them. I'll give you an example. Let's say you got this employer that knows its workers want to be union and want to have a contract. Employers themselves have contracts with their attorneys, and they have contracts with vendors, and they have contracts with all these people because they know as an employer it's smart for them to be protected with some sort of binding agreement. In that binding agreement, details what the exchange of rate is for pay and all that good stuff. And some employers are okay with the workers saying, hey, we want to be union, and then the employer saying, sure, I'm good with that. In other words, yeah, we just need to be fair with each other. That is called a card check process. That is called recognition, card check recognition. Project 2025 outlaws card check recognition, actually forces it into a government process. I thought the whole argument was to make government smaller. Forces it into a government process where people have to vote on the outcome of that. Since when have we forced people into situations like that, when there's voluntary acceptance of this across the system? I've heard the arguments on the other side of this, and it doesn't make any sense. But the reality is that is something that is potential to come soon, which is exactly why so many people in labor are upset. And I'm telling you, what I'm going to be doing, and part of what I'm doing on this show is telling everybody, suck it up, look at this straight in the eye, recognize that we have a moment, that it's time to hold people accountable. And at the end of the day, corporate America got what it wanted, and it's time for us to make sure workers get what they need. This is going to be a fair exchange when workers take to the streets, workers build worker power, workers exercise their power and their ability to get things done. And what we want to make sure that we do is that we don't give up this moment or give up this energy in a way where we don't use this platform and we kind of pout or we get mad and we look at it as this defeat, because it's just a setback if part of what you're after is to change policy. For labor, the disappointment is the opportunity to change policy. And it's a reminder that the policy makers come and go. They change. It's a rotating door over and over and over again. It's the workers that are consistent. So whether you're a president or you're a board of supervisor or a county at a county, or you're a city, or you're a school board or a board member like we just ousted over at Chino Valley, the Chino Valley Fire District, those ones, they rotate, but the workers typically should not. The workforce is the one that stays consistent. Now, some workers rotate at a particular employer, but they bounce from employer to employer and stay typically in the same industry. And my point for bringing this up is that the policymakers, we can't put all of our eggs in that basket. What we have to do is put our eggs in the basket where worker power and workers have the ability to put things in a union contract. Because the one thing that has survived every political swing in the last 100+ years has been union contracts. You can go back to the early 1900s, late 1800s, and cigar rollers had a union contract. There was actually a union for cigar rollers. Think about that. That cigar rollers had their own union that they participated in. They got training on how to roll cigars. They got training on how to understand the different types of tobacco. They got training on how to do the cuts and all the different things that go into it. I'm not a cigar smoker, so I don't know all the technicalities to it. I can just imagine it from looking at a cigar. But they had their own union contracts in the late 1800s and early 1900s to hold their businesses, companies accountable to working conditions prior to any law being on the books. And so whether you worked in a production factory or you worked as a cigar roller, union contracts are the consistent thing that over 100 years has protected workers. Not a president. There are some presidents that have been good, and there's some presidents that have been bad. There's some senates that have been good, and there's some senates that have been bad. So at the end of the day, what has survived all of those are good union contracts. So our job right now is to educate workers and get them to understand that that's where the power is. That's where they're going to be able to hold corporate America accountable, and not to depend on any legal process to bail anybody out or any of these situations out. So I hope that y'all can connect to this. I see some text messages coming in. Apparently, this message is resonating pretty well, and I appreciate you sending it over right now and saying thank you for this message. You're going to hear this a lot from me coming up here in the near future, because it's our obligation in the labor movement to lead workers in a way that they don't feel like everything they're going into is a defeatist sort of adventure. If we did that, none of us would have any decent working conditions. We would be back to a third world country where we were prior to the 1930s. Understand that, as prideful as we are in our country prior to the 1930s, before any rules existed, think about it. Think about how tough things were. Think about how difficult things were. Today, it's a lot easier because workers did exactly what I'm talking about right now. We owe it to everybody else out there that did what they did 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 70 years ago. Those that created the trust funds, those that created health and welfare plans, those that fought battles to have safety on the job, fought battles to make sure that our water wasn't being poisoned, fought battles to make sure that we had a safe environment when we were coming and going from work and or in our local community. All these things were done because of union contracts. And I just really think it's important for us to reflect on that and recognize in this moment, because we have power when we come together. What does a union contract cover? It covers grievance procedure, the ability to challenge a decision made by your employer in a professional setting that will be adjudicated through a agreed to process. It has working conditions completely laid out in writing and agreed to. And if you haven't touched on the subject, the next negotiations, you have the right to bring it in and start to establish rules around that very subject. What else do collective bargaining agreements cover? They cover retirement plans. They cover health and welfare benefits. Obviously, they cover wages. They cover how you get paid. They make sure that the employer doesn't take advantage of the pay situation, or if they do, there's processes of it to take care of it. Again, this is an opportunity for us to hold these electeds accountable. This is an opportunity that happened just now for us to say, okay, we supported these candidates because we believed these policies were going to be either protected, created, or enforced or changed in a positive way to protect workers. So now, some of you may think because of the election outcome that's not going to be there. Well, why not? The situation was much more dire for you, at least from your perspective, 125 years ago, and they pulled it off. So why can't we? It's a whole lot easier now. And they didn't have cell phones back then. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have TVs. They didn't have the ability to communicate so quickly like we do now. They had to do everything manually, everything walking around, everything knocking on doors, everything. I mean, and not even everybody had telephones. So think about that when we're pouting today or we're trying to commiserate over a particular subject. Or not a particular subject, this particular subject. So it's important for us to make sure that we now double down on the power of a union contract, that we double down on the process of worker power and building worker power, that we double down on making sure that workers understand their rights in this space, that workers have the right to exercise their worker power, have the right to withhold their labor from their employer until they get a fair deal. Period. If we cannot rise to that challenge, we are abandoning everything our predecessors did for us before us. In a time like we are now, where we have all the modern luxuries, where we have cars and airplanes and streets and public education. And I know we want to complain about all that, but 125, 150 years ago, we didn't have any of this stuff. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have phones like we do. We didn't have any of this. And so today we have so much more. And so our opportunity is actually easier for us to deal with it. It's not impossible. I don't want to hear somebody tell me this is impossible. I don't want to hear people say there's no pathway to do it. That is not true. If we take that position now because of the result of this election, you were giving up and throwing in the towel. That means you didn't truly believe. That means you don't understand the sacrifices people made 100 years ago. You don't understand the blood and sweat people laid on the line, because as you look at history, people were killed on the picket lines to stand up for what you now have you just automatically have. Let's use Jason, who was just here a few minutes ago. Public sector bargaining rights. Public sector bargaining rights did not happen until the early 1960s. Didn't happen in California until the 70s. And so firefighters or anybody that supported the fire agency they had a fire agency established, but they didn't have the right to collectively bargain. And so, Jason, all this stuff we just got done talking about, you back up 55 years, they had no right to that. They had no right to ask for more. They had no right to bargain something better. And to all of you that are listening to me right now that are public employees, it's the exact same thing. Workers in the private sector died, struck, and fought so that workers in the public sector could have the right to bargain. That is an absolute fact. Again, somebody wants to come on here, someone wants to argue with me, the Right to Work Committee wants to come on here and tell me that somehow my facts are wrong, you're more than welcome to come on here and try to explain to me a different version of history, because it is absolutely right that all these public employees did not have the right to bargain until the early 1960s, Wisconsin being the first, not in California until later, and everything you just heard Jason talk about wouldn't even have been possible without the right to collectively bargain. Some people argue that police officers and firefighters are overpaid. Some people argue that they've got too lucrative of benefits. Some people argue that they retire too young. Some people argue, there's some, I guess I can hear that, but we're not going to sit here and slight those individuals for being able to bargain a strong position because of collective bargaining, for them to get early retirement because a job beats them up their entire career. No different than somebody working in a warehouse. Now, do I believe that a warehouse worker or a driver deserves the same sort of retirement benefit as a firefighter and a police officer? Absolutely. And if you are a police officer or a firefighter and you want to come on here and argue me the difference, I'll actually show you a statistic that being a driver is actually a more dangerous job than it is being a police officer. The statistics show that the injury rate's higher, that the fatality rate's higher, that what it does to someone's body is actually more damaging over time. I'm not trying to knock down another job. I'm trying to make sure that we value the other jobs properly, that we help these workers value those jobs. Because if no one valued this job 30, 40 years ago, then I wouldn't have what I had. And if nobody did it 70, 80 years ago, then I wouldn't have what I have. So at the end of the day, let's recognize how powerful collective bargaining is. Let's recognize how powerful it is for workers to come together. And let's recognize how powerful it is to hold our head up and say, regardless of this challenge, we're going to take it head on. We're going to deal with it. We may not like the outcome. We may not like how some of it happened, but we owe it to these workers. Let's roll to a break real quick so that I can go to the next segment. It's Randy Corrigan with the Worker Power Hour. KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. The Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network.
The track hits your eardrum like a to your chest, like a vest for you in the city of. We in that sunshine state where the bomb be, the state where you never find a dance floor empty and be on a mission for them. Lean, mean, money making machines, serving fiends. I've been in the game for 10 years making rap tunes. Ever since Honeys was wearing Sassoon, now it's 95 and they clock me and watch me diamond shining, looking like a Rob Liberace. It's all good from Diego to the Bay. Your city is the bomb if your city making pay. Throw up a finger if you feel the same way. Straight putting it down for California, yeah. jam. It's West Side, so you know the road will bow down to no man. Say what you say, but give me that bomb beat from Dre. Let me serenade the streets of LA. From Oakland to Sacktown, the Bay Area and back down. Cali is where they put they Mac down. Give me love. South Central. That's right. Now make it shake.
All right, Randy Corrigan here, back on the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. We are so happy to have this partnership here where the radio stations are here at the building. Our members are super excited. The community, seeing everybody come in yesterday, it's kind of like a soft grand opening at the watch party last night, and people just like, wow, you got a radio station in the Union Hall. I think we're the only Union Hall. I know we're the only Teamster local in the country that has their own radio stations. And I think I'm saying plural. You got something on that, Mark?
When did we actually start this show?
November of last year. I don't remember exactly when, but
I've lost track of time.
Yeah,
That's
it was
why I was
somewhere
asking.
in November.
I was going to ask, we have a radio station now. We have a training center. Can we get a convenience store? It's kind of driving down the street's kind of hard.
You know, you're asking for a lot here, Mark. Yeah, let's look into it. What the heck, right? So the training center. Let's talk about the training center. I think it's important. It's a good segue. We're actually going to have somebody on. Robert, aren't we going to have somebody on related to the training center or the future show? And I'd like to take a few minutes actually in this segment to talk about all of the different things. All the different guests that are going to be coming on the show in the future. And some of those are, we have Liz Ortega coming on. Excuse me for not remembering her title. She's Senate or Assembly? She's Assembly. She's a great labor partner, sorry. Sometimes I forget if they're in the Senate or the Assembly because sometimes they bounce back and forth. So if you're listening, Liz, my apology. Actually, we're going to have the Nevada AFL-CIO leaders too. And then we're going to have Fontana School Board members. One of those Fontana School Board members just won their election yesterday. So let me find that real quick as to who did. Oh, the building trades leader. Oh, Chris. Chris is going to come on in the new year. I know Chris. Chris and I are old friends because we had a Chris Hanna. Hanna, we had a mutual friend when we were young in our in the labor movement, and that he ended up passing away tragically. And we'd become friends, and now he's the head of the building trades. And, you know, obviously I'm doing what I'm doing in the Teamsters, and so that's great to have Chris on. But the one I'm really excited to have on here in the future is really talking about our training center. We've had some guests on in the past where we've talked about what we're doing with some of the kids in the high schools, and some of the curriculum and some of the things we're training and talking about, how we're teaching kids about labor in school, what those teachers are doing, what those school districts are doing. But it's also a step further where we're engaging the high school, where we're the high school to high paying jobs initiative, and we're trying to create a pathway for workers in high school, for kids in high school, that once they get into the workforce, that they go through the training center, and the training center then lands them in a good union job versus them landing in a bad job, them end up getting hurt and cycling out in a particular industry. And so really looking forward to having those partners on. I think somebody from Sierra High School is going to be coming on here pretty soon. Isn't that right, Robert?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Chime in here, Mark.
So we're going to have Sierra High School, some of the administrators come over. We're hoping to have some students. I was actually interviewed by one of the students on their little broadcast.
They got a podcast too, yeah.
And they asked me my favorite song, and they wanted me to sing it. Unfortunately, I didn't.
We talked about that earlier with karaoke with Jose, right?
Yeah, I didn't torture anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, related to schools, Danielle Hawley won in Fontana, correct? She's in Fontana, the school board. So congratulations to her. Angel Ramirez, Fontana School Board member, reached out. Had won. So good big wins there. Jesse Sandoval, school district 2, right? No, city council. That's right. I'm sorry, Jesse. My bad. Again, I can't keep track of all these people, Mark.
If Carlos is in the house, he should come over and jump on a mic.
He can't. He's running the ERC in the other side of the building.
Oh, that's
right.
I forgot about ERC.
Yeah, we're busy here. We ain't just sitting around.
Things going on.
We got things going on everywhere. That's what everybody kind of trips out on. They're like, man, you got stuff going on everywhere. Yeah, so we're excited about the relationship at the training center. Hopefully, we can get Becky on here and her team, Jared, Natalie, and I'm missing somebody. I apologize for missing the last person, but we need to get their team on so they can talk about these amazing programs that are being built out in the high schools, and most importantly, the awareness that's being created and brand familiarity. What we're trying to do here at Teamsters 1932 is make sure that a kid in high school makes a connection, understands what a good job is. Maybe they go to college. All right, cool. While they're in college, they're having to work at UPS or maybe work at one of a union facility for them to get their benefits while they're going through college. Maybe they're lucky enough not to have to do that. But after it's over, if they land in a job where they're in an administrative role or an executive role, they understand the value of a union instead of fighting it. They embrace it. Other is 82% of kids don't go to college in the Inland Empire, so they're going to land in a regular working class job. So them landing in a regular working class job, you want them to get in the best job possible, which is typically a union job. So I'm sorry. The other one is Miranda. My apologies, Miranda. We need to get her in here too. So point is this team is working diligently at educating high school kids and high school students and transitioning them into the workforce so that they understand the value of a union job. And then ultimately, if they go into the workforce, they land in a good union job. And that job will then carry them on for, potentially their entire career. If they promote after that or ended up, changing jobs, they'll obviously in a lot of cases, they'll have a retirement plan waiting for them for the years in which they were in a good union job. So, the relationship we're building with the school boards, it's why we're so active politically at the school board level. It's trying to make sure that we're engaging that process and that the school board is teaching the right curriculum in high school, because I don't want kids to run into what my son ran into, which is opening their textbook and us being called a cartel. We're not a cartel. Like we have school boards now that are saying, we need to change these books and we need to make sure that they appropriately reflect labor. We need to make sure that the history is told correctly, and the history is not told by corporate America, that the history is not told by somebody writing a book that never knows anything about labor. And so these partnerships that we're building, that Becky and the training center is building out, is phenomenal, because then once they get a union job, obviously their future is going to be, much more laid out, and they're going to know that they can retire in it, that they can have a great life, that they know that their retirement maybe is at 51 or 55 or 57, or 61 or 62, depending on how old they are when they actually got engaged in the process. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that the training center, we want to make sure that all these programs continue to be more and more robust, that they increase in our ability to brand our organization, and that they absolutely connect to the community in the right way. Because if we've made a connection with a kid in high school, then make the connection while they're at work, and then we go knock on their door because those workers are organizing, or we're knocking on their door because we're canvassing over an elected official, the familiarity is there, and it's not like we're a bunch of outsiders. So, the reality is we've got to deal with this narrative that's been created on us, and this is how we're doing it at Teamsters Local 1932, and this is how we're building worker power. This is how we're doubling down on that message and that narrative. It's how we're pushing back on the right to work message and the right to work committee and all the negative things that they keep putting out over time. And so how did we do? Does anybody know how we did in the Redlands races? Robert, we're not sure yet? No, they didn't win. They did not win. None of them? Just one. Oh, well, that's good. Well, at least we had one winner. Who was it? Oh, okay. So, like I said, Robert, got to get you over here on the mic. Like, you know. Yeah, go ahead. Get on the mic, Robert. What did it feel like yesterday to be talking on the radio show? They had a youth group in here talking, and it was interesting to kind of sit back and listen in on everybody. You know, you got to dress a little nicer when you come into work.
You know, that's funny because Mark Orr just told me today, well, I have a rusty throat today, and he told me, what are you wearing? And I was like, well, my Teamsters beanie and my sweatshirt, you know, because it's a cold day. And he's like, well, there's a dress code in the building.
Cold.
So I didn't know that there was a dress code.
It's not that cold. We just had this conversation yesterday about PJs.
Oh, yeah, I know. But
this generation thinks it's okay to wear PJs.
Okay, well, in my opinion, I think it's okay to wear PJs if, like, you're not getting off the car. Like, if I'm going to the gas station.
Did I surprise you with this?
You did, yeah. If I'm going to the gas station or if I'm going to, like, a drive-thru, I think it's okay to wear PJs. But, like, yeah. But anyways, so Mark told me about the dress code, so now I'm going to be wearing
my generation. You know? My generation. See, we got a generational thing here.
Yeah.
My generation, you cannot wear your PJs off the property at your house. Like, you just can't.
Yeah.
You just can't.
I mean, my mom would always, like, tell me to dress up nice as if I am going to be in a public space, but I think for me personally.
So you don't listen to your mother?
Well, I do, but in that case, like, sometimes when on a Sunday,
I hope your mom's listening right now.
I know, right? I don't want her to listen.
What's her number?
Right. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like if you're on a Sunday and you wake up, like, you know, you could be in your PJs. It's a Sunday.
So let's talk about you being the communications coordinator here at the local.
Right.
How you like it the last couple? Because you came from Sacramento. You came from the political which is why, you know, everybody was freaked out last night.
Yeah.
That's the environment you're used to, right? Mm-hmm. Coming to advocate for labor, what's it like for you?
It was definitely a change. I think because working in the Capitol, I was very tunnel visioned. Like, there was only a certain amount of things that I was limited to doing, right? So I did communications in the Capitol as well. So I was only able to do press releases and, like, statements. That was, like, my only job. And it was 9 to 5. So my work didn't really go home with me and, you know, clock in at 9, leave at 5.
Yeah, that don't work here.
That don't work here. So here, it's like I work Monday through Sunday. And then, I mean, by the way, I love my job, and it has been, like, the most rewarding, and also I feel like my creative mobility could really show in this role, and I'm super excited for, like, what the new year will bring too, because there's something always going on here at the local, and I've noticed that I'm able to grow. I think in the Capitol I was so scared of failing because everybody around me came from, like, Harvard, Ivy League places, and they were studying policy.
And we're just a couple boys from Fontana.
Yeah, and I grew up in Fontana, so I'm just like, well, you know, I'm in this nice building, and I'm scared to fail because the person next to me could easily replace me, right? I have the idea that everyone is replaceable, and so...
If you wear your pajamas to work, we're going to replace you.
Replace me, yeah. I won't wear this ever again. And so... long story short, it has been a very fun time. I really love it, and I really am grateful for the opportunity.
What's your favorite part of this?
My favorite part of this has to be the actions we go to. Like, I love all the stuff I write for, like, press and stuff here and the graphic designs, but I think my favorite part is the worker power that we're building. Like, my favorite picket line in my whole entire life has been when I joined the Teamsters, and that's the Amazon one we had in KSBD. Like, that one, the energy you feel on the picket line from these workers is inspiring, one, and two, it's very it gives me hope that, like, despite everything that's going around, there's still workers who are fighting every day for their rights to organize, for healthier wages, and for medical benefits that everyone deserves.
Well, man, I couldn't have said it better myself. You got something you want to play there? Did you find it?
Oh, yeah. Do you remember this?
Do you remember this?
Oh, it's a civil matter.
That's a civil matter. Yeah. Them going in and out is a civil matter. It's a civil matter, and they have an obligation to go to court.
Mind you, keep it playing.
What you're going to do is
there's a whole bunch of police officers standing in front of me while this is happening.
We're going to hold every single one of you accountable. Have a good day.
And I only knew about that because I think Mark ran. I call Mark Panic Attack. That's my nickname for him. Because he literally ran and he turns red. So he was red as a tomato. And he was running towards me. And he was like, you got to get over here with all your camera equipment and start recording just in case, like, you know, an officer does something.
Well, what's just funny is I don't like it to be recorded.
Really?
So, but it obviously got recorded.
Yeah.
And there was another incident that day that got recorded where I had 11 officers in front of me because I think at that one there was only 4.
That was insurance policy right there.
Oh, yeah, that was good. That was real fun. And, you know, maybe we'll play some of it on a future show. But how did it make you feel to see us be able to stand down the cops like that?
It made me feel, well, at first, that's when I really saw you, like, mad in that instance. So I was just like,
I actually wasn't mad.
You don't want to mess around with Randy.
I was upset. There's a difference.
Yeah, upset. But it made me feel
I was
bad.
on fire.
Can I tell him what you said when you leaned in the car?
Yeah.
He leans in the car when we got those 11 around us. He goes, I haven't decided if I'm going to jail or not today.
Yeah, I mean, in the moment, it just felt very like, I can tell that your spirit was definitely
connected to worker power.
Connected to the worker power, yes. And somebody needed to put them in their place. I mean, the police officers, police officers are Teamsters too, so let's not say that police officers
all
are bad.
police officers are bad, right?
But
we're just having issues with San
We're
Bernardino
just having
PD.
issues with the San Bernardino PD, and they came, and I don't know if you were at that point, but they put on the sirens so loud on purpose because they're echo beams, so like it'll blow out your eardrum. And I'm like, all these workers are doing, they're not causing violence, they're not rioting.
They were just walking back and forth with a sign.
Yeah, and you know, stopped a couple of trucks. I don't think that's a bad thing to do. But again, they weren't stopped in Ontario. They weren't stopped in Ontario. They weren't stopped in other places that you striked.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's only at KSBD is what I'm noticing. So, yeah, it's insane.
So the favorite part of your job is obviously seeing the worker power part of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, and obviously you get to see what workers are fighting for, and you get to see that kind of the spirit in them kick up, right?
Yeah.
When they realize that there's all these other people in the industry that are willing to do something. And, and if you don't mind me asking, how old are you, Robert?
22.
22. So you're old enough to definitely be one of my kids, right? So this is definitely a generational sort of shift.
Right.
But, you know, I was 21 when I started working at the local as well. So I've always appreciated the fact that I've always wanted to bring youth in to give us a different look on whether wearing pajamas or not is cool, right?
But I'll never do it again.
Well, you've never worn pajamas to work.
No, I know. But now that Mark made that comment, now I feel like I'm coming lazy to work. You know, I get my work done. It's just.
So we did this the other day too at a training.
Yeah.
And the generational difference, they pointed out like what you think of our generation versus what we think of your generation.
Yeah.
What sticks out to you in this realm?
In labor, you mean?
I don't know anything.
I think
I always intrigued by
right.
Because I got kids your age, and sometimes I'm like,
I think there's definitely a big gap in between the Gen Zs, right, which is me, and millennials and anyone who's older. I don't know if that's like boomer or something. So I don't know the exact
It's like
words for it.
boomer or something. It is. Boomer.
I think the difference is I feel like older people view my generation as we're not appreciative of a lot of things. And I think that's something
That's because that generation wasn't when they were your age.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's kind of, they're projecting a lot of what they didn't do during their time onto us. And I feel like there's a lot more in common that we have than what separates us.
Yes.
And so I think, you know, one of the major things that I always notice is younger people are a bit more, some of us are really rude. I feel like that's an attitude that us young folks need to change.
Yeah, that's very true.
Is that
you guys
we're
are
rude.
a little more rude.
Mm-hmm.
Back in my day, you'd have got slapped by somebody.
Yeah, or backhanded, right?
That's
and
slapped.
so, yeah. And then, I mean, but then vice versa with older people, I feel like they're so stuck in their own ways of doing things where they need to be more open to new ways of doing things. Like, and that's why I'm so happy to be in the labor movement.
I can't wait
now.
until you're old enough to be stuck in some ways. I cannot wait to be around to go, you know, Robert, you're stuck in your ways a little bit on this. You're
I don't know.
not being open.
I think I'm very good at me as a human being adapting in different scenes. That's just, I think, a skill of mine that I see. Like I could be in any environment and I can adapt. Like if there's older people, I can act like an older person.
So now you get to hear, those of you that are listening, and you see all of our stuff be put out. You actually get to hear the voice behind our communications coordinator. You get to hear the voice behind the individual that's helping us push the content out. It's helping get the social media, recognition and Instagram and X and. The list goes on. TikTok, right?
My job isn't only social media.
That's correct.
Because a lot of people, like my friend would just text me this morning.
But that's what people see most.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
My friend would just like, is that all you do? Because we usually FaceTime in the mornings as I'm doing my
skincare. You actually do less of social media than you do all the rest of the work, right?
Actually, yeah, that's a lot of it is preparing. Yeah. Honestly, 90% of it is like the show and the podcast. But just to wrap it up really quick, I was just talking to my friend this morning who we usually FaceTime in the mornings, my best friend, and he's just like, how are you going to be so busy? All you do is social media. And I was like, no. I do the podcast, the show, the social media, the press releases. Like today we announced the Chino Valley thing, right? So it's just a lot more coordination and behind the scenes work that people don't see, but it's definitely rewarding.
I just had somebody text me. He just called us old people.
No, that's not what I meant. But anyways, yeah, I'll wrap that up. So I'm happy to be here and obviously grateful for you giving me the opportunity.
Look, man, you're doing a great job. Appreciate continuing to push the message and control the narrative. That's what we got to do, especially right now, Robert. What we got to do is we got to make sure that the general public understands this narrative and that we have not been defeated. Yeah. Workers have not been defeated. Worker power. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, talk to your coworkers. Building worker power is something that we have to do every single day. And now it's more important than ever for us to build worker power. It's more important than ever for us to focus on what we can do versus what we can't do. And the fact that a union contract overrides everything. A union contract has transcended more than 100 years of history, different political parties, different policies, different agendas, all these different things. The only thing that's been consistent is clearly worker power through a union contract. And that is what we have learned over the last 24 hours and what we've seen happen. And so we have to hold this next administration accountable. And they say they protect workers. Well, guess what? It's their opportunity to actually prove it over the next 4 years, and we're going to ask them to do that. This is Randy Corrigan and the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. Long-time organizer, first-time radio host. Signing off. See you next week. And wax a chump like a candle. Dance. Caress a speaker that booms. I'm killing your brain like a poisonous mushroom. Deadly. When I play a melody, anything less than the best is a felony. Love it or leave it. You better gain weight. You better hit bullseye. The kid don't play. If there was a problem, yo.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932.